little more data here as we finish up. And what I wanted to give you are some studies as well. And again, what I'm doing with you right now is brainstorming and juicing so that you have some ideas when you're tasked with this. But we started by saying over 96% of these offenses are caused by employees as the source. And so I went in and I said, okay, how many studies have been done to say what hand washing does for us? And what you find is, in many of the studies, you can quantify that there is at least a 31% drop in diarrheal illnesses associated with good hand washing programs. There's a 58% drop when you're in immunocompromised populations. But the 31% drop, I think, is a good stat. And I think it's fascinating because when you think of it in terms of cold and flu season, you're only getting a 16 to 21% drop in respiratory illnesses, but you're getting much more bang for your buck when it comes to diarrheal illnesses. So I tried to accumulate a lot of studies for you guys. I also tried to bring in the concepts of how do people learn. You've heard a lot in this conference about how people learn, how do we train them. And so what I did is I pulled all the studies and I said, okay, how do we appeal to our Gen Xers? How do we appeal to our millennials? And what I find in all the studies that have been done associated with people, it's not a function of millennial and it's not a function of Gen X. There was no correlation when I looked at the generational thing. But what I did see is some correlation to upbringing, and there's just basics here. If our girls wash their hands a lot more than our boys do. And certainly race plays some effect in terms of upbringing, I suspect. And we're just now seeing our schools start to emphasize hand washing again. It was a big thing 20 years ago. Now it's a big thing today, but certainly in the interim, we haven't had that. And we have a generation of people. And so when I look at our statistics and I look at all the Shigella events that have come up, every single one of them has been linked to my hiring of high school kids, and it came right from the locker room. And so I think that we see these issues associated with hand washing. And what we found after we looked at all the studies was I always thought that I could go in and make a very emotional case. That what we're doing is feeding grandma and we might be poisoning grandma, and they surely would then start washing their hands, and the answer is no. That doesn't last long, no matter how convincing I think I am. And what the answer becomes is it's just as simple as, do you have sinks available, do you have soap available, and do you have very simplistic reinforcement? And so when you look at some of the hand washing technology that's back here, it sort of appeals to this generation of being able to see and to monitor and real-time monitoring and to understand what they're doing in terms of the science of hand washing. So these special visual reinforcements in these studies that I'm citing here, it was as simple as not reminders that say wash your hands. It was simple as arrows on the floor that made them go towards the hand washing sinks, or special logos that made them think about hand washing sinks, and supervisor influence. And so I think that these systems that we're seeing sort of play into all of the things on the right, which are demonstrated variables that improve the frequency of hand washing.